Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's session on building the foundation of your SMSF knowledge. My name is Daniel Tramontana, and I'm from BGL Corporate Solutions, and I'm joined by a very long-time friend of myself personally and also the business in Aaron Dunn, who's the CEO of Smarter SMSF. And for many of you who know Aaron, and for those of you who don't know Aaron, I consider Aaron a great authority in the SMSF space, has got an incredible amount of knowledge, and what we've been able to do, or what he's been able to do over such a long period of time, has made a difference to so many. So Aaron, thanks so much for joining us today.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so look, we're going to do a presentation today on building the foundation of your SMSF knowledge. And one of the things that I know that Aaron is passionate about, and then we also at BGL are very passionate about, is the whole idea and concept of training and education, and putting into our clients and or users' hands good content that can actually help them in the right direction and help them be across that which they need to be across to be able to do their work properly. Now, Aaron, I'm going to get you to take over from here because I know that you've got an agenda, you've got a few slides to go through. And as we go through this, I encourage the audience to just look for the opportunities and the moments that you can really take a hold of and say, yes, that would be awesome for my team, because we've got some pretty great stuff put together for you to be able to help you in training and developing your staff, which we know is so important, not only in this environment, but then also going forward. Yeah. So Aaron, go for it.
Thank you. So thanks for the opportunity first and foremost. And I mean, you're right, Daniel, the training is and keeping up to date. So currency of knowledge continues to be the biggest thing that challenges practitioners. And this is not just something that we need to contemplate within SMSF. We know this is generally, we have legislation that continues to move as much as it did in the last 12 to 18 months. So what we have done over a course of time, and we have, as you rightly mentioned, Daniel, worked very closely with BGL for probably 15 years or so now as well, that we identified that there is a real need to obviously keep that currency of knowledge. Now, we have delivered webinars and other content for long periods of time, and we also, of course, naturally have the ability to generate documents and so forth with an integration directly within Simple Fund 360. But we identified this real need to ensure that there's a medium for people to be able to access up-to-date content that they could do at their own pace and in their own time frame. And this was my lockdown project last year, to be honest. I had a conversation, many of you may know Nick Sinclair from TOA Global. We had a conversation probably in November, December of 2019 about looking at some sort of course content within his own team, and sort of the idea germinated from there, but then really got legs as we went through lockdown 1, and then obviously the second lockdown as well in Victoria last year. So the idea here is to really ensure that people have a strong foundation of knowledge. And that's predominantly what we want to focus on. Yes, sure, this provides somewhat of a pathway for people to work through to a specialist level of knowledge, but we know that there is a core level of competency that we need as practitioners. So putting my own practitioner hat on to be able to do the work that you need to do each and every day. And that is really the core focus of what we have built here. So a little bit, I don't want to spend a whole heap of time on slides today. Both Daniel and myself will sort of work through a little bit of this information here, but then we want to get into Simple Fund 360, and in particular the learning channel, and then specifically into the course to help you understand what we've put together. So, but this gives you a bit of a snapshot as to what we're going to be covering. And then, as Daniel's rightly said, if you do have any other questions, feel free to add them in, and we're happy to answer them as we go through in today's session as well. So the core.
Look, I was just going to add something there, Aaron. Yeah. I think this is a really important point, because as we reflected over the last 12 months, one of the things that we do know is that a lot of accounting firms, team members, and even accountants themselves have missed out on a lot of training and education, which would take place within the office environment, problem solving, working with their seniors. And I know that training and induction, especially at a lower level, is really difficult to do remotely. And when we've been in the predicament that we've been in, and this provides an incredible platform to not only bring in people and get them up and running, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on, but also to upskill your existing people that are doing the work.
Yeah, and that's been a huge part of our initial success with this course, is the fact that, and like you rightly said, we'll talk about a little bit how you as within the BGL organization have actually used this course yourself, and what that upskilling actually does, because you are right, we are working from home and in different locations and so forth. So that ability to kind of get together, connect, have discussion has become just that little bit more difficult, and therefore the onboarding process to do that as well. And this hopefully goes some way to being able to bridge that gap. So as I said, we do have 7 modules that now make up the course. We did release in the last couple of months our 7th SMSF estate planning module. But the concept here is to take you through the journey of the SMSF. So understanding how it fits naturally within the superannuation landscape, drill down into the specifics of an SMSF. And this, again, we're not taking you all the way through to a specialist level. This is about a foundation level of knowledge for you to be able to do the work that you need to be able to do. We then obviously move into things like our investment rules, our contribution rules, paying benefits, so income streams and lump sums. We look at taxation of SMSFs, both at the fund level and then obviously the payments level, the reporting requirements and the responsibilities of trustees. And then, as I said before, SMSF estate planning. Now, naturally, Daniel, with the changes that have been occurring over the past 12 months and then even more recently, this does require a fairly large volume of work that needs to be done on an ongoing basis. So one of the questions we do get regularly is, well, how often is the course updated? So this is what I can tell people is that we were right on the 30th of June, still updating stuff because we had Pauline Hanson trying to negotiate stuff to get through some measures, obviously around the 6-member fund and the Your Super, Your Future packages and so forth. So we do spend a lot of time on this. We do run quarterly training. So that becomes a fillip for us to then be able to naturally update the changes and so forth that we do. So since we launched this in December last year, it has gone through probably 2 or 3 or 4 iterations because of the moving feast that is the legislative landscape at this point in time. So let's keep moving. So I won't bore you with the detail on this, but what I will say is, so Smarter SMSF is one of 6, maybe 7 accredited educators with the SMSF Association. And what that means is we are recognised as one of the peak education groups within the SMSF industry that allows for us to obviously assess the work that we do and provides a level of confidence in you for you in terms of what we deliver as being pitched at the right level for those that work within the SMSF industry. So our course is made up of 21 CPD hours, and you can see how that is broken down in here. So whether you need this for your accounting hours, whether you need it for FASEA purposes, ASIC, audit hours, et cetera, this covers off all of those requirements there for you. And you can see some are quite simple in their process to be able to work through, whether it's up to 1.5 hours for our first module, or if you want to get your teeth stuck into taxation, which is sort of 100 pages of content in the slide format in our e-learning platform, plus another 50 or 60 pages in a workbook. There is a lot, obviously, to work through in each and every one of these. But most importantly, you can work through these at your own time and then obviously at your own pace as well. So the other thing that I just wanted to quickly touch on is because we have gone through and made a significant amount of changes because of the measures that we've seen over the past month or so, but then obviously that was going back in the 11 months prior to that as well. So we do see things that we have amended in here around now the SG increase from 9.5% to 10%, the definition of the number of members that are allowed in an SMSF all of the change has been incorporated, not only just talking about the fact that there is 6, but what are the reporting obligations that naturally sit down to that, under that as well. We also touch on in some of these modules about the proposed changes. So we do know there are a number of measures that were announced in this year's federal budget that will have an impact on SMSFs going forward. And again, we update those as we move through. So the residency changes are being proposed. We've seen proposed changes around legacy income streams. But naturally, we've seen a huge number of changes come in the context of our contribution caps, which naturally impact our total super balance thresholds. We've also seen that indexation to the transfer balance cap, which then for the first time we see our general transfer balance cap and our personal transfer balance cap. So understanding the differences between those two things and what it means for people. So what we're finding so far is that people are not only using this as a learning tool, but they can then go back in as they're working through it and then go, actually, what, I remember reading that somewhere. So you've got this as a resource to then be able to go back and make sure you understand the rules, whether you go to the workbook or whether you watch some of that module again. Having this available to you does make a significant difference. And of course, the last one there around the super stream changes as well. So we run a change log every time that we make these changes so that you can go back and revisit the areas that you may have previously covered, but you want to ensure that you're up to speed as well. So from that point of view, as you can see, we've made an enormous amount of change as part of our July 2021 update.
So just with your change log, Aaron, maybe explain what that entails, because obviously we go through and you create the videos on each of those topics, and then changes in legislation come through, and obviously you're going to have to do some edits or add things to it. Just explain what it looks like and how they can reference back.
Yeah, so the change log will predominantly reference our workbooks. So we know first and foremost, a lot accountants typically like the workbook first and foremost. So, but what it allows you to do is it'll say, okay, well, we had to make a change for the concessional contribution cap moving from $25,000 to $27,500. So the information in respect to that, there may be a ruling that has been updated. There may be some other ATO literature. So the change log will reference all of that information so that the user can go, okay, well, there's been a significant level of change in module 3 in respect to the contribution rules. I might actually go back and rewatch that now. So it enables them to ensure that, again, currency of knowledge and the ability for you to ensure that you've got up-to-date knowledge is absolutely critical. And again, we use our quarterly update process to ensure that we're reviewing our content and then obviously can make those necessary changes as and when are required.
Yep.
So the other thing here is, of course, the way that we've built this is that it provides flexibility. So this is not webinars. This is a true e-learning course that will allow you to flip through and understand this further. So again, won't talk about that too much here. We want to show you actually how that works. Not only can you work through this, but you then have access to support as you work through it. So within the course, and I'll show you, you have the ability to get in contact with us, get clarification on questions and so forth, help you understand maybe if you've made some mistakes or errors in the assessment, and help you get back on track as well. And as I said, we award 21 CPD hours upon successful completion. So each module here, you will literally have to go through that module, then complete the assessment, then complete the next module and complete the assessment. And once you've successfully worked through each of those, then you have the ability for that certificate to be issued straight from the learning channel platform there. So Daniel, let's move into it now. So I'll share, change the share screen here. And you tell me where you want to start from, what page. So I have opened BGL and then obviously
wherever you like. So maybe we'll start off on the landing page. So, I mean, one of the things is that, for people to be able to use it. So if you register now through the SMSF Foundations course landing page, which we will share with everybody, by simply registering now, it will then automatically, take you to the appropriate payment page, etc. And then it will then be available within the learning channel in Simple Fund 360.
Yep, that's correct.
Now, for those of you who don't use BGL, you can also get access to the content by registering now. It just means that it doesn't automatically flow through to your software. Okay. Now, with the course and the foundations course, when you do register for it, what we do is that we give people a time frame of 4 months to complete the course. So you'll see here when we go into Simple Fund 360, you can see all the different modules that are available. You can see some tracking as to where the users are at insofar as completing the modules. And what's nice about this is that from the time of subscription, you've got 4 months to get them completed. And then, as Aaron mentioned, at the end of it, you'll then be issued with a certificate. And the nice thing about it also is that you'll also get your 21 hours of CPD points.
Yep.
So when you combine this type of training and then use that with the software training, what it pretty much provides is the why behind what you do within the product. And that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And see, what normally ends up happening, Aaron, and we see this all the time, is that accountants would just put somebody that might have good general ledger skills or might have good, accounting skills, whatever, in front of a Simple Fund 360 example. They can process the transactions and all that. But it's almost like a little bit of guesswork as to why they're doing what they're doing. And I've seen this, I've heard of things happening before that it goes to a good, strong administrator or someone that can clear transactions. But what we want to do is provide you with the why behind the what that you're doing, right?
Yep.
And that your users are doing. And this is what's really powerful. When you can bring the theory and the practical together, we believe that you'll get far better outcomes for your users and for your clients. And that's essentially what we are aiming to achieve.
Yep, absolutely. So in very simple terms, so the learning channel, I'm sure many people have seen this, but if they haven't, just understand that it is available in that top right-hand corner there from within Simple Fund 360. So the user can go into there and then click on that and it takes them across into the learning channel. So you'll be able to purchase the course online. And then that will then take you across into here. And here we are back on that exact same page that we were just talking about before, Daniel.
Correct.
And I mean, Daniel, for those that obviously haven't been in here, maybe you can just give a quick background to what they can actually do as well.
Yeah, look, and apart from the course that we're doing with Smarter SMSF, the foundations course, you've also got access to all the other training courses within here in the material, which then allow you to couple the training between the practical side of it at a software level and then also the theoretical level.
Yep.
And you can see that we've got different varying levels of the course.
Yep.
Which pretty much with Simple Fund 360 at a product level, which go from the very basic setting up a fund to putting some transactions into then the more complex of dealing with different types of member transactions, pensions, and more complicated funds. So effectively what we're doing, and it's a great thing that we've done with Aaron, is allowing you to bring people into the organization to have a great start of understanding the foundations and then understanding the software through the learning channel, and allows them to better process the funds and go through the work. But then also your existing people, it allows you to upskill them and make sure that the why behind what they do is always relevant, so that they're up to date with that which they need to be able to do and comply with.
Yeah, and that's 100% right. This now helps connect the why into those different levels of processing and the work that needs to be done using Simple Fund 360 as the tool to be able to do the work that obviously we charge clients for.
Correct.
So then, as I was, Daniel was talking, then I naturally then click through to here. So what you can then see here is the course listing. So it will take you through and then you can go into each of those modules, work through, and then again, underneath each of those modules, there is an assessment that is linked to each of those as well. So I'm not going to go through each and every one here, but Daniel, let's maybe choose module 3 because it is one that we have had a significant amount of change on, and therefore just gives people some context as to the currency of the information that we have in here. Now, this is interesting. So what this will do is it will recognize where you were last at. If you need to stop work for some reasons, a client rings, you need to go to a meeting, or you simply just, you don't have 3, 4, 5 hours that you're going to be working through it at one point in time. So this will recognize where you were last at so that you can then carry on. So it is a really valuable tool to be able to use. So I'm just going to click no. So that obviously takes us back to the beginning here. So this is this frame, I guess, here is exactly how all of the modules look. So what you can see here in this navigation is our presenter info in the top left-hand corner. It allows for you to email us directly from here. And then the main thing to note is then we have our resources tab here. I'll come back to in a second. And then you have your navigation on the right-hand side here. And again, it will allow you to search for a topic, and then you can see obviously the areas that we talk about concessional contributions. So from a navigation viewpoint, you then have the ability to play. So each slide will have potentially some audio or a video, and that audio will naturally start automatically. So some of these obviously have no time on them because they are just cover slides or whatever the case may be. You have the ability to then obviously change the volume here, and you have the ability to expand it out to a full slide as well. So this is fully mobile responsive. So you can do this on a tablet, so iPad, you can do it on a mobile phone. If you're traveling somewhere and you want to sit and be able to watch it, this is the beauty of building content that is not only scalable for use, but in a way that enables us to be more mobile in terms of how we want to be able to complete this as well. So we can see here as we work through, one other thing then, going back to the resources, I should say, is within every module, the first thing you will see at the top of the slides, at the top of the navigation, I should say, is a workbook. So every module has a comprehensive workbook, and you'll see here, there are some 27 pages here in module 3, and you can see the information that we are covering within that as well. So the other thing that we do to validate learning is that it is not just you doing an assessment at the end of the module. We do build in interaction and activities inside of the module for you to look at and undertake yourself. So you can see in this one, we have 3 different activities here for you to be able to consider. So I might just close that again. And then similarly, as we work through this, you then have the ability to watch. I won't sort of listen to me. I've listened to me too much so already, but the idea is that it takes you through a process for you to understand what you're covering, how that's being delivered, and then naturally the process of then finishing off the module through assessment. Yep. So we have videos here. You can see that define what a contribution is, for example. Again, reference back to the workbook. Interestingly, Daniel, some of these, when I did these videos in lockdown last year, I had to improvise, and we did some of them at home from the study, and so you'll see some varying degrees of quality with the videos, because we had some being done on a mobile phone versus some that we've built a little studio in the office here. So it's quite interesting, and I like it because it gives me a good reminder of the journey, I guess, that we've been on along the way too. So,
but the thing I suppose I'd like to add here is to those that are listening is that not only is the content great, but then you can also download the content, write your notes on the content, go back to the content. And the content is of substance. Like, it's not just wishy-washy, one little line to explain. So it actually goes into detail that you can always go back to as a point of reference, and ensure that you're doing things right, or if you need to go through things again, that you're reviewing quality content to build your people skills. Yeah,
100%. And so there are references to rulings, there are references to important information, so that the workbooks are fully linked, so that it will take you off to where you want to find out more information on a particular topic. So what I might just quickly do, as I scroll down a little bit further, I might just go to one of these activities. So you can see here, to validate some of the learning, what we then have is this level of interaction in here, and this is fun as well, because it kind of the faces will change from happy and sad and this sort of stuff. So it allows for the ability for you to validate, because we've spoken previously about the particular topic that we are looking at. It then allows you to go, well, actually, have I learnt what I need to know here? Or do I actually need to go back again? So, I haven't even read the question again, but it'll tell us, he's not happy. So, we need to be over 67 and meet the work test to be able to make that contribution. So again, just the progress that will allow you to then work through to the next question and the next question and so forth, again, to be able to make that here. We know this one's no, because she's 78 years of age. So we'll get a smile there. So again, it's just about validating learnings as we actually go through as well, to get you ready for the assessment at the end of the module. And the assessments will vary based upon the length of the module. So some modules may have, say, 10 questions that you'll need to get an 80% pass mark. Yep. Some of the smaller ones may only require 5 questions. But going back to the content that you spoke about before, Daniel, we also have in here things like flowcharts that explain, what do we need to do, whether someone is eligible to make a non-concessional or not. Now, this is our 67, but less than 75. This is our bring forward one as well. And again, you have the ability to download these in here. And again, we get people that print this stuff off and they stick them up on their wall because they go, all right, I need to follow the bouncing ball here. And that will ensure that what we're doing is right. And then we can obviously process that information as being correct inside Simple Fund as well. So they're probably the main things that I just wanted to talk about there in terms of the content. Obviously, once that module's been done, you'll move into the assessment that you can see at that point there. You'll complete that. Again, time limits, pass marks. You do have the ability to, if you don't pass the first time, you will get a second go. If you fail, I guess, the second time, it doesn't mean that we're going to knock you out of the course, but what it does mean is before we let you back in, we do want you to go back and really understand, I guess, what you got wrong in the first instance. So again, all of these are being built in exactly the same way. So it allows you to work through at your own pace, in your own time. We have people that like to do it themselves. We have others that actually combine it. They do still sit down and look at some of these modules together as well, or go after having looked through it, then go and talk about stuff together as well. So again, that's the same one. You've got your tax here. You've got your module on tax, which again, here we've got sort of 98 slides. And our workbook is obviously much more significant. Again, some sort of 47 pages there. So people are not going to be bored. There's something like 60,000 words in this. There's over 200 pages of workbooks. There is something like 60 videos. So yeah, it's been a labor of love without question, Daniel. So, and again, most importantly, it's about making sure people can do the work that they need to be able to do.
And Aaron, do you want to maybe just explain also the support that's available?
Yep. Yeah. So
that's a really important part. It's not just a matter of here's the content, here's some material, and you're on your own.
Yeah. So throughout here, and you'll see it as we talk about it through here. If you do have questions, we have an email address there. Again, you can click on the email address from here. But we do talk about that throughout. So we regularly get questions coming through from students saying, can you just clarify this for me? I thought the answer was this. Why is it this and rather is it not that? And we'll come back to you, within sort of a business day or so and go, yeah, look, this is the issue. So the thing that you're missing is this, or by the way, go back in and have a look at the workbook on page 27 and the example here. And here's a reference as well onto the ATO site, and have a look at that further as well. So we'll always come back and give people a response around why the answer is the answer. And then if there's something else we can load on top of it to continue the journey, well, then we'll obviously do that as well. And that's why we spend so much time looking in here at some of these reference points that people should be looking through as well. So, someone could get their teeth stuck into it quite in depth if they actually then spent the time going through all of the information that we included above and beyond the workbooks and so forth, with the links and things as well. So
Aaron, just a quick point here, because I've got a great question from Carol Valla,
yep,
who said, can more than one staff member do the module for the cost of $450, right?
Yep.
And it's not, it's $450 per staff member.
Yeah, so what will happen is, the ability for someone to be able to look at this information, I mean, if you have a team that are naturally want to sit down and look at it, we can't control all that. So, and we do have people that use this as team-based training, but on the basis that there is one seat purchased, then the person that acquires the seat will be the one that will be issued the CPD certificate.
Correct.
So that's the clarification there. So we don't prevent, we can't put a tracking device on this to go, well, Carol, you can watch it, but John can't, or Kim can't, or whatever. But if Carol here is the one that has purchased this, then Carol is the one, upon successful completion, that will be awarded that CPD certificate.
Correct. So the CPD certificate won't be issued for, if you did it for 3 or 4, it won't be issued for the 3 or 4. It'll be just registered for the person who registered for the course.
That is correct.
Thank you, Carol. That's a great question.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Daniel, I think that's probably the main thing that I wanted to cover there. So we might just move back to the slides again. Where are we? This one. Because I want to now just sort of talk about who's this actually relevant for, and hopefully it's given people some context going through some of those slides. But where people are, and some of you may or may not recall, we've done some research around our SMSF industry, and we have what we call specialists and generalists. So a generalist is someone that obviously does SMSF work, but it forms the more broader part of their practice. So your day-to-day is a mix of business services and a mix of tax and a mix of SMSF and so forth. So this is absolutely front and center for those type of individuals, because currency of knowledge, core knowledge, is absolutely fundamental to the ongoing work that you do. Now, for those that are specialists in this area, yes, this is going to be of value without question. And we have initially pitched this for people, say, up to 3 years of experience as an SMSF practitioner, because it's built at that sort of foundation through to what I'd call intermediate knowledge on SMSFs. And we certainly do see this having been built for others that not only have teams onshore, but also offshore teams, as well as, again, a medium or a vehicle to be able to do it. So we are very deliberate in saying that this is not a specialist course. So we're not here competing against the SMSF Association and that path to specialisation. Interestingly, we do have our course content here mapped against what the SMSF Association has as their compass. So this is a free tool that the association has that allows you to assess your knowledge and try and find gaps. Because if you are looking at moving to a pathway for specialisation, then there is a journey that you as a student would need to go on to build core knowledge and then obviously move up into more specialist knowledge. But recognise, and again, we do have other specialists that are using this course, that some of the modules here may just be advantageous from a refresher point of view. We've got financial advisors that have done it because their tax knowledge isn't as strong as other aspects, or conversely, the fact that there have been a whole heap of changes around contribution rules and the like, so it then allows them to tap into this information as well.
Aaron, just a couple more questions have come through, which are great questions, both from Rob and Janet.
Yes.
For the CPD, does it apply for CAs, CPAs, TPBs, so professional counsel, financial advisors?
All of that stuff. So yes, we will. So it can be counted towards continuing professional development hours for the major accounting bodies, so IPA, CPAs, and CAA and Z, and then it will also count for your TPB hours. It will also count, as I mentioned before, for ASIC knowledge areas, for FASIA, for those that are financial advisors and require for those purposes. We have mapped it across all of them, is the short answer. So, and it is all contained, obviously, in the CPD certificate that is issued upon successful completion of the course.
Thanks, Janet and Rodney. And just another question's come in from Adam, which I think is another one worth answering. Does the course cover practical tips?
That is a fantastic question. And Daniel, I am going to go back into the course because I do want to look at that very specifically. So because it is one of the key differences in terms of how we have built this course. So, you know me, Daniel, I'm a practitioner at heart. So
and an Essendon supporter.
And an Essendon supporter, but yeah, so that's all right. We're going better than you as a Collingwood supporter. But anyway, we won't talk about that. What we do in here is we also build out examples of documents that we have available. So sample documents and the like as well. So I'm just trying to dig down to an example here that I can try and find where it might be. Calculating the minimum. Sorry, it's a fantastic question. That's why I want to make sure that I can show an example here of one that we've done. So we're across all of these modules where we believe there might. So here's a good one. So commutation of an income stream. So what we've done here is, and this applies across. So you can see samples to deeds. You can see samples to pension documents. And many of these documents are available that Smarter SMSF provides via the BGL Simple Funds 360 platform. So it's a separate conversation for a separate day. But you can see here, it allows you to then go, okay, what documentation do I need to put in place in respect to this specific issue? So here we're looking at commutation. It might be pension commencement. It might be minimum pension shortfall. It may be in respect to the deed. It may be in respect to a binding death benefit nomination. We've got a whole range of not only examples of how things might work, so case studies or examples of a scenario, but we then also will have in here links to sample documents that then talk to the actual pension documentation here. So what is the three-step process we need to do to ensure that we have an income stream on foot? And then here, click on the link and see the sample document for our pension commencement that shows you what the expectations are for a income stream to have started and commenced in accordance with what the income tax and SIS rules require it to do. So absolutely fantastic question, because that is absolutely at the very heart of what we have built here.
Just another question that's come through, which as we go through to the next phase of this, insofar as who it's relevant for, is how long once a course is completed, do participants get access to the updates, where there are changes to legislation, etc.?
So they will get access to it for that 4-month period. Now we do actually have an annual add-on update service. So it's something that we still need to work out how we can do that on this current platform, but it is something that we can also look to offer, where someone, not only do you get it for your CPD purposes, but what you can then do is pay, in essence, an annual subscription, say at about $180 plus GST is the way that we've structured it on our own site, that allows for that person to then use and get updates, continued access to the course on an ongoing basis. So again, if people then want to use it as a resource for content knowledge maintenance, then absolutely we can facilitate that sort of thing as well. So as we saw early on, we do actually have a price increase that is happening from July. Now, one of the things, because we have introduced new modules into this in recent times, we did launch this at $450. What we have decided to do, obviously, we've got a great number of attendees today. So if this is something that you are interested in doing, that price change we have left off until the week following what is the 12th or something is the Monday. So until the Friday, we are going to leave what I'd call our pre-30 June price there. So on our Smarter SMSF site, if you want to purchase this course, it's $660. What we have in respect to our partnership with BGL is that we will have a standard price of $550. However, we will allow for this $450 price that currently exists. We will hold that until Friday the 9th. Now, if you do have larger teams, so you may be wanting to purchase it for 5, 6, 10 staff. We had one in the last 24 hours that's purchased 20 licenses. Again, you've got the ability to do that, and we're happy to explore how pricing and how access to that may also work as well. But this is the cheapest way, I guess. You'll get access to the course and this is all because of the long-standing relationship that we have with Ron and Daniel and the rest of the team there at BGL. So Daniel, I want to get you to just spend a couple of minutes to talk about how BGL actually uses this course as well. And we've got Doug here. We've got Doug here. And I thought this was great when he shared this with me. I said, mate, do you mind if I actually use this as a testimonial, please?
Yeah, now look, obviously at BGL, what happens with us is that we get a number of people that join us in the support team. And traditionally, and right up until now, what we've done is that when it comes to getting the graduates, which mainly are graduate accountants, before they start on the phones and on the live chat, etc., we take them through an extensive training program. Now, from what we used to do in the past is that we used to bring them in, take them through the software training courses. They would do Simple Fund 360, all 3 levels. And then after a little bit of guidance and mentoring, they would then jump onto the phones and they'd be able to provide support. Now, while they're still able to provide support and they do an excellent job with it, where the time really went is in teaching the team members this foundational stuff, right? And the thing is that what would normally take us a significant amount of time to do to get a person up to that basic foundational level, we're now able to do that from something that would take months to now just a matter of days or a week, however long they can finish their course.
Yep.
So for us, what the great benefit of it is that as I go back to, is it didn't just explain what they're doing and the support they need to provide and what the software does, but it also empowers them to understand what goes on behind the software, because a big part of support is, okay, getting the data in is quite easy, but then being able to work with clients to understand the output and outcomes is the hard part. And what this does is it sets them up with a great foundation to be able to then understand client terminology, understand how things need to be processed, understand also the output or the outcome of certain transactions and events. And what it does, it just makes them far better holistic support consultants, and they're able to engage with the accountants and the users at their terms. And that's really important. From, just the basic, things like a concessional contribution to, the pensions paid and different types of pensions to all these type of things, they can speak about them with a good level of confidence because they have an understanding of what it means. And that's what this course does. Gives you a great understanding. It will reduce your training and induction time significantly, because the time that you would traditionally spend in getting your people up and running at this level, we know that this course will definitely be able to fill that gap in for you. So that once the person goes through the course, you haven't got just somebody who's come through with a basic understanding. You've got someone that's come through with a good level of understanding that then will form a strong foundation for you to be able to work from going forward. And that's what's really important.
Yep. Yeah. So bringing people on board, I think, is that we've seen a huge amount of interest and use in that area. It then really helps the manager that, there's a pathway for that manager to, it's not that they don't want to be able to do the training, but the conversation and the way that they can manage the learning curve for staff coming on is a lot easier for them to do, and to help then really mentor them through, rather than actually having to be the teacher. And that's a real powerful thing. And that's what we've also done with TOA as well, where, when we combine, I guess, Daniel, that, BGL's done a training academy for TOA, and then now we've sort of combined the course content. So again, even if you've got using a remote workforce, then there's even the ability to take people from the why and then into the how, so that you're successfully building teams around that as well. And so, so the course is great because it allows for a single user. It allows for smaller teams all the way through to much larger teams. And the way that we've done it with BGL is that we've used BGL's existing infrastructure to be able to deliver access. So it makes it seamless for you to be able to move in from your software through a single sign-on process into the learning channel for you to be able to complete that training, and again, validate the learning and make sure that you can then continue to do the work that you do and support the clients that you need to with your SMSF work.
And as we've said, we're very clear on the fact that this is not a high level technical, like that, super user type level.
Yep.
It's at that foundational level, which is so important for people to get right, to then be able to step into the more complex areas of SMSFs. And that's why we love this course.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've probably answered most of these as we went along. So in terms of can more than one person access, how long access is for, the content course change that, we've sort of hopefully showed you today, that it is an ongoing feast in terms of the way in which the changes are working. So I'd actually finished all this, Daniel, sort of about mid-June, knowing that, things had landed around the indexation of the caps and so forth. And then, we saw the government decide to finalise the 6-member fund stuff. And we saw them finalise the bring forward for 67-year-olds. And we saw a COVID recontribution. Now, some of you are saying, what's a COVID recontribution? Well, we actually talk about that in here because that is something that starts from the 1st of July, 2021. So that's our role. Our role here is we are specialists in this space. I live and breathe this each and every day, as sad as that may sound. But ultimately, this is what a lot of people do with the stuff that we do at Smarter SMSF, is that they do rely and trust the level of knowledge and expertise that we deliver, not only in the training, but then in the documentation that allows for you to successfully implement as well. So if you do have questions, I would even about the course or about what we do, not only can you get in contact with us, but you could also have a chat to one of your account managers at BGL, who is more than aware of how this works and having further conversations about it.
Yeah, so
Aaron,
I was just going to say, if you can, at the end of the course, at the end of this presentation, just go back to the landing page for where they can register for it.
Yeah, will do. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep, cool. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit else what we're doing, because one of the other things here you will see on here is that we are also going to be building a quarterly update in exactly the same way. So the idea is sure, this is a foundation level of knowledge. You might have people that want a far more in-depth level of knowledge, so dealing with them and wanting to know what is happening on a quarterly basis. So we are going to be doing the same here in delivering that as well. We will explore modularization of the course. We're hoping, Daniel, fingers crossed, we're actually going to run some half-day masterclass events around RegTech as well. So looking forward to getting back on the road around those, hopefully in August as well. So it just gives you a little bit of an understanding where our focus is. We are really spending some time on delivering what I call fully scalable and cost-effective training solutions for you as a practitioner as well. And I guess as we sort of wrap up, and then, like I said, Daniel, I will go back. If you do have any other questions, we are partnering with BGL at RegTech as well. So we'll be able to sort of show people a little bit more there about what we've built from the course and some of the other things. And again, looking forward to being a part of RegTech again for 2021.
Thank you, Aaron. If you just go back to that page,
we'll go.
Fantastic. So as we go back to that page, we'll be around for the next few minutes to answer any questions. But on behalf of Aaron from Smarter SMSF and myself from BGL Corporate Solutions, I'd just like to thank you for your time. It means a lot. It does mean a lot to us insofar as you taking the time to invest into learning about what we're offering and doing, and what we think that we're offering is pretty unique and very good for not only yourselves, but also for your team members, whether they've been there for a little while or they're just coming through. It's a really good thing to put alongside their training and induction plans to get them up and running. So, Aaron, we're excited about this. We know it's going to be very popular, and we know that there's going to be a lot of people engaging this because it does solve a great part of a puzzle, which we're all trying to work through, especially through these times.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can get around to the other states, Aaron, in August. So keep your eyes out for those things. We won't get into any political discussions here, Aaron. But for all of you that have joined us, thank you. And, for those of you who are in other areas of Australia where you're going through some difficult times, know that our thoughts are with you. And
absolutely,
we trust that this is over for you soon. And we're hoping the absolute best for you, your families and your businesses and people that you work with. So thank you for your support. You do matter to us. And we hope that through this service that you're going to find that a great experience that's going to help you and your team deliver a better holistic service to your clients. And that's what this is all about.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, Aaron.
No worries, pleasure. So people can see at the top there. So it's bglcorp.com/SMSF-foundations.
And what we might do too is we'll just send the link to everybody at the end of the call.
Absolutely.
So I'll get Anthony to get that organised.
Yeah, and happy to share the slides if people want to see those. So Daniel, this will be going up onto the BGL website, of course, as does all of this training as well.
Yep. Thank you, Aaron.
Excellent. Pleasure.
Thank you.